Pack your bags and head to Breland Hall Saturday, February 3rd to snag yourself one of these guys. The Passport Fair will be held from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. You can also come Monday through Friday from 8:30 a.m. to 3 o'clock p.m. Bring your coolest gadgets and tech out Thursday, February 1st for Technology Day.
The immigration debate is front and center today in Las Cruces. On one side, the Attorney General of the United States.
On the other side, protesters who say his policies are inhumane. News 22's Amanda Byars reports.
Outside, around 60 protesters raised their voices to oppose the immigration policies of the Trump administration and the visit by the Attorney General. They carried signs, Aggies against the wall, a neighborhood not a war zone, don't militarize the border. While inside, U.S. Attorney General Jeff Sessions said the goal is tightening up the border.
I've ordered each United States Attorney's offices along the southwest border to have a zero-tolerance policy toward illegal entry. Our goal is to prosecute every case that is brought to us.
Sessions was the keynote speaker for the meeting of the Coalition of Border Sheriffs. Sheriffs who are most familiar with the country's broken immigration policy. Larry Spence of Willacy County, Texas, says he appreciates the support, but is not convinced a wall is the best answer.
Do we want a wall? Is there a necessary wall? Well, in some areas probably yes, other areas no.
The executive director of the National Sheriff's Association says he is hopeful the attention will bring more resources.
But we do have to realize that keeping our communities safe and protected is not free. It's not cheap.
But for Sessions, it's the right thing to do.
If you break into our country, we will prosecute you. It's just that simple. Our goal ultimately is not arrest, see how many we can arrest, but our goal is to deter people from attempting to come illegally.
But the protesters weren't deterred. They stayed until the Attorney General was finished with his meetings. Amanda Byars, News 22. Car accidents are one of the leading causes of death in the United States. More than half of this number are people who are not wearing seatbelts. On December the 2nd, Jesus Porras was in an almost fatal accident.
Well, I was driving on my way back home, and then that's when I got cut off by a drunk driver.
Jesus swerved to avoid the car, but instead hit a curb and eventually lost control.
Luckily, I had my seatbelt on, because with the force that I had, like the final impact, my whole body went forward.
Jesus fractured his sternum and vertebrae. He broke his pelvis along with 5 ribs. He was at the hospital for 2 weeks where he had to get surgery and participate in physical therapy.
It definitely changed my perspective on life. Like, to me, it kind of feels like I was kind of given a second chance. I'm more appreciative of, family and friends.
When in a major collision, some are fortunate enough to be granted a second chance, while others are not. However, a life could be saved by doing just one thing. Putting on a seatbelt. Jasmine Gonzalez is one of the unlucky ones that lost her friend due to a lack of wearing a seatbelt. She remembers when she first heard about the accident, she felt shocked and unable to wrap her head around the fact that her friend was gone. She chooses to remember her loving friend in other ways.
I've always thought of her as an angel, even before, She was a really happy person. She had a great spirit. She was friendly. Off the bat, she was just someone to be happy around. And even now, I think about her and it's sad to think that, she's actually really gone, because of something so simple.
Not only is it important to have a seatbelt on, it is also just as important to have it on correctly. And that includes having the strap in front of you and not in back.
A lot of misconceptions are, as long as I'm wearing it, it doesn't really matter the way I'm wearing it, so you need to wear your seatbelt properly.
In the end, the message is short and simple.
So just take that extra half a second to buckle in, and it makes just everything safer.
Amanda Byars, News 22. On November the 7th, the Donna Ana County held elections for the Las Cruces Municipal Court. 11% of eligible voters came out to vote on this election. This low number is caused by a couple of big reasons.
What we're hearing is that people want to vote, they're just having a hard time doing it. And so our system right now really isn't designed to be easy to navigate for the average voter. They have a challenge getting the accurate information about when the election is or how it's going to be run and just what the process will be like when they show up to vote.
Because New Mexico does not have consolidated elections, it's very difficult for some folks to keep track of when you do vote, because it's not just in November and May. It's all year long at different times depending on the election.
Fred Martino and Scott Kraling are both men who are trying to inform more people about different local elections.
And so that really includes everything from voter registration drives to community events where we have discussions about the process and lobbying the state government to reform state laws to try to make it easier for voters.
Here is where most of the voting takes place. Although there's a small amount of voters right now, there's still solutions to help increase this.
I think just like, well, for like younger people, the millennials, like we're always using social media, so I think using like Instagram, Facebook, Twitter to like really put that out there about the elections, I think more younger people would know about it and go out there and vote.
If people believe voting is important, they need to tell their elected officials about these issues. You've got to register to vote, and you've got to get out there and cast your ballot.
I'm Amanda Byars, News 22.